Hey guys, Otto here, back again with another email marketing agency video. Now, about 6 or 7 months ago, I released a video that basically documented and walked you through the specific process that I went through to go from having no agency, so absolutely ground zero, to running an agency doing considerable amount of income every single month, more importantly, in a way that was scalable and actually didn't demand any more of my time, which I was struggling with at the time with running a traditional brick and mortar agency. I got to the point where in order to scale, we basically couldn't keep control of our variable costs, in that every time we wanted to bring on more money into the business, we'd have to bring on more clients, which meant we'd had to bring on more staff, more stress, more headaches, X, Y, Z. So at the time, I've also made a video about how we productize and how we switch to a build and release model. But what I'm going to do specifically in this video is actually go through the exact build and release service delivery that we still do to this day, and talk to you a little bit about why we actually still do this, even though it's not our main flagship offer. Okay, it's such a lucrative and such an easily scalable business model to run that it really demands absolutely zero of my time. It's something that we've been able to iterate on over the last few years and pretty much turn into a kind of packaged passive business, if you can call it such a thing. So what I'm going to do here, guys, like I say, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Mean a lot to me. Go over to this video here to take a look if you are interested in actually building or scaling your ecom email agency. And in that video, what you'll see is me going through this detailed diagram here, which will show you exactly all the steps we took to launch the agency from scratch. But what I'm going to do is just shut that down. We're going to jump over into today's diagram, okay? So what I'm going to talk about specifically in this video is what you need to do with a potential client that you've already perhaps closed or you're about to close. And I'm going to run you through every single step that you need to take from onboarding to actually delivering that service as a build and release offer. Okay, so this is not a traditional agency offer. You can use this workflow as a as your service delivery process for a brick and mortar traditional retainer based agency offer. You know, if you're charging $2,000 a month, $5,000 a month, whatever it might be, you can still use this model here. But really, what this workflow is designed to do is actually empower you to start utilizing and leveraging build and release offers, switch away from that kind of low perceived value, commoditized, low ticket retainer based service delivery offering, and move over to something that is much easier to close, much easier to scale, and actually is weirdly something I found was a lot cheaper to run, which surprised me, and I'll explain to you why that is. Okay, so without further ado, guys, I'm just going to minimize my face here, trying not to move that around too much. We're going to shoot over straight to onboarding. Okay, so where we start in this video is from the perspective that you've closed a client. Okay, so maybe you're just about to close them or you've closed them. And what I'm going to go through here is specifically what you do every single step after the moment that you've closed them. Okay, so what we would do typically once we've had one, or typically it was 2 calls, we'd have an intro call and a discovery call with the client. Once we closed them, it was then on to onboarding. Okay, now our offer is that we will basically do for an ecom brand what a agency will oftentimes promise to do and actually fail to deliver over 7 months. We'll do it within 24 hours. Now, there is a caveat to that, okay? And the first caveat to that actually leverages your client's kind of involvement and investment and momentum at the very sort of beginning of this process of working with them, in that if they take too long to actually provide you with all the necessary assets that you need to actually deliver your service, then that guarantee as such, you know, the 24-hour delivery time frame is going to naturally be extended. So we would say to them, once we send you follow-up next steps in our next steps email, if you give us everything that we need, which I'm going to talk about now, specifically what you need to get from your client in order to scale this build and release offer, if you give that to us, you know, instantly, we'll get started instantly. But if there's a delay, then we don't get started until we have all of the assets. Okay, and what that's going to do is basically just buy you some time. So you've already enticed and you've already closed the prospect on this, you know, glossy, rapid bespoke offer that will happen over a 24-hour time period, but it also relies on them to actually carry out some actions of their own. Now, the reason that we implemented a system like this at the start was basically saying to the client, you know, if you don't give us 100% of what we need, then we literally don't take one step forward. At this point, they've already paid, so it's in their best interest to act quickly. Okay, and what you'll find with a lot of agency and typical retainer-based clients, specifically if you're getting paid or you're billing on the back end of a 30-day cycle, a monthly cycle, whatever it might be, is that contrary to what you might think, you end up closing them. You think that you can build on all this momentum that you've, built with them over the last, week or so, however long it's taken for you to close the client. And you expect them to give you all the brand assets that you need to actually get your job done. But what you'll find is that they will delay, and they will find other things that need doing. And as an e-com brand owner, they'll have a million other fires to be putting out. And least of their worries will be organizing, sending you logos and things like that. And then oftentimes what that will do is put you in a very difficult position where your time will encroach onto, your earliest scheduled catch-up call with them, or your review call in the next week or 2 weeks, whatever it might be. And if nothing has happened over that period of time, because it's no fault of your own, it's actually because of the client, they're going to still blame you at the end of the day. Okay. And all of these constant elements basically work against you as an agency owner. They kind of push you down in the perception of the client. They'll just continue seeing you as low ticket, even when actually the error is caused by them. Okay. So it's an incredibly frustrating thing. And if you run an agency, you've probably already run into this problem already. So after the call where we close the client, we send them a very simple next steps email. Okay. So we send that immediately. And in that email, they get a couple of things. Okay. Namely a Slack invite to the channel where we consolidate all of our comms. Maybe you use Discord, maybe you use Freshdesk or Basecamp, whatever it might be. We always use Slack for our ecom brand clients. And in that email too, there's a link to our standardized onboarding Google form /questionnaire. Okay. So if you've got a onboarding questionnaire or an onboarding flow currently that exists, you basically have to make sure that you've got these three things included. Okay. So first of all, you want to clarify who the point of contact is. Do not accept multiple points of contact from a brand. Okay, there has to be one point of contact. Your communication with them has to be efficient, and you have to make that very clear from the outset with your client. Okay, having multiple points of contacts, or I'll add you to our Slack channel, or I'll add you to our Facebook ads agency Slack channel isn't going to cut it. Okay, it's going to cause communication issues, and again, the fault and the blame will land on you as the third party service provider. Okay. So when the client eventually looks for excuses to get rid of you, maybe they bring email marketing in-house. Maybe they find that you're too expensive going on, or whatever it might be. Maybe they, the wind changes, and for any reason, the client just wants a new agency or no agency at all. They will harness and leverage all of these elements over time to basically form their case against you and say, look, didn't get work done for 2 weeks, despite your protest, despite you saying it was your fault, whatever it might be. At the end of the day, if they don't want to work with you and they don't want to pay you, they won't. Okay. So this build and release model is a way that you can get around those problems. All right. So consolidate communication, make sure you have one point of contact, reiterate contact details. So get their specific contact details. Okay. Don't have an info@brand.com email address, and make sure that you offer them and present call availabilities and time. So we would always do a bi-weekly call. So I haven't added that in here, but we would do a bi-weekly call. So that's not 2 a week, that's one every 2 weeks. And on that call, we'd have a specific set agenda. It would not just be a call for a general catch up, talk about the weather or politics. It would be to go over specific elements of their campaigns, flows, technical, deliverability stuff, whatever it might be at the time. Okay, so once you've done this, push your client, give them, tell them basically, incentivize it with them that if they answer this and they give you everything that you need quickly, then you'll be able to actually start the work quickly. And like I say, they've paid, so they're normally more incentivized to do this and act on it versus when you're working with them on a retainer basis. Okay. The next thing that you want to get from your next steps email is access to brand assets. Okay. So if you're working with an e-com brand, you're going to have access to high resolution logos in multiple file formats. You're going to need to know specifically their colorways, their hex, their number codes, things like that you can replicate and use for all of your designs, your campaigns, and your flows. And you're also going to have access to their images. Okay, so not only lifestyle images and marketing images, but actually product images, high quality, high definition, high resolution. Okay, and don't accept anything less. All of these, if a client comes back to you and says, I'll just copy our logo off our website, or I'll WhatsApp you an image, or whatever it might be, you have to say a hard no, because at the end of the day, if you are then appeasing the client to then use this these brand assets and collateral in your emails, and then your emails don't convert because they've got terrible resolutions, things like that, at the end of the day, you will be blamed again and they'll stop working with you. Okay. So it's all about fighting and strengthening your case in this relationship. It's not that you are against the client or the client is against you, but I promise you, if you don't put these foundations in place at the start of your relationship with them, then they will build a body of excuses that when it comes to eventually getting rid of you, which they will, whether that's 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months, 36, whatever it might be, the client will not work with you in the capacity that they're working with you forever and ever and ever. They will leverage these elements over time. Okay. So don't let them do that. Don't give them any excuses to do so. Okay. So now when it comes to the operations, now I almost wanted to put operations actually as pre-operations to onboarding, because once you've already got a body of flows, basic and advanced, and campaigns, which I'm going to run you through 6 types here, and your segments and kind of deliverability stuff, once you've got that from an email marketing perspective, you're not going to have to reinvent the wheel. So every time you get a new client and you onboard them, the whole power and scalability of this build and release ecom email offer is that you can basically replicate all of the work that you've already got within your Klaviyo account as an ESP to every single new client that you're working with. Okay. So the way that you can do this for Facebook ads agency or SEO or whatever it might be differs. It can be more complex or less complex. I obviously know the email marketing case because we've not only had a traditional email agency, but we run a build and release email agency offer currently. So it's something that we've, like I say, iterated on a number of different times, and we've got the process down pat. So what we need to look at here is operations. Okay, so when you work with a client, you're typically going to work with them across a kind of holistic email marketing basis. Okay, so you're going to deliver flows, you're going to deliver campaigns on an ongoing basis, and you're also going to help with their technical kind of optimization, deliverability, making sure that emails don't land in spam, setting up segments, making sure their list is regularly cleaned and purged, and also making sure that you've got the right segment set up so that engagement is boosted and yada, yada, yada. Okay, so within the operations, and what you need to focus on with the build and release offer is basically getting your initial body of flows already in the bank, already in your Klaviyo account. And this is why I questioned whether I should put this here or before onboarding, because when you get to the stage that we are at, before onboarding, we've already got all of this done to about 75% to 95% fully finished and customized anyway. Okay. And again, the power of this is that you can go into relationships and conversations, and you can pitch brands with an offer that isn't just we'll increase your monthly recurring revenue from email and SMS to 30% every month, or your money back, whatever it might be. Okay, you can hit them with actually offers that are much juicier and much more attractive and have a lot less risk. And bear in mind, and remember guys, that a lot of brands are, they've either been had their fingers burnt by agencies in the past. Agency owners have very, very bad reputations in the e-com vertical. And brands are very, very skeptical. Not least, brands are getting hit, hundreds, if not thousands of times a day by 14-year-olds in their bedroom trying to sell copywriting to actual legit agencies that have, premises and hundreds of members of staff. Okay, so it's a highly competitive vertical. But once you know how to actually tap into it, it can be incredibly lucrative for you, as it has been for me and my team. Okay, so just nailing the ops here and getting down to a bit more of a kind of granular practical level. What you're going to make sure from a flows perspective is that you've got basic and advanced flows. Now, I haven't listed all of them here. We actually have a product now. We've going through a bit of a kind of iteration revamping process, but it's called the Ecom Email Accelerator. Now, it's not our flagship offer. With our flagship offer in the Acquisition Partner Program, you actually get full access to the Ecom Email Accelerator for free. It's not an online course. It's something where my team and I, there's 5 of us, including me, will physically clone and build all of our Klaviyo assets into your Klaviyo account. Okay, bear in mind, these assets are 75 to 95% plus editable and customizable, so that when you actually onboard a client, you never have to worry about service delivery. Okay, so it's a way for us to work with you in order for you to future-proof your business and actually not have to spend indefinite, variable costs on employing staff members and technical experts and Klaviyo practitioners, whatever it might be. Once you actually have this large body of infrastructure that we offer in our build and release model, you've got service delivery for life. Okay, so I haven't listed all of them here, but what you want to do from a flows perspective is make sure that you've got basic and advanced flows. Okay, and basic flows can be categorized as those traditional, ground up flows that any ecom brand should have, starting with your welcome series, going through your abandoned cart, browse abandonment, and XYZ. So I've listed these on the Ecom Email Accelerator landing page, so you can take a look there. I'll link it below. But here I've just put a couple of examples here for just time purposes. Now, when it comes to advanced flows, these really are flows that integrate with third-party tools. Okay, so it might be a review flow, it might be a subscription flow with Recharge. Say you're working with a brand, they sell stocks or whatever it might be, and they offer a monthly subscription where if a customer subscribes, they get a reduced rate on buying socks, and they get 3 new socks, different pairs, every single month in a mystery box, whatever it might be. Advanced flows are any flows that are kind of outside the remit of Klaviyo. You have to actually integrate other third-party tools, okay? But just because they are advanced doesn't mean that you can't already have them almost fully built, okay, and ready to actually deploy for a client, all right? So campaigns is where it gets interesting. Now, I've got a lot of DMs, a lot of comments on my previous email marketing YouTube video about, this is all well and good. It sounds great, getting paid up front, yada, 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 whatever it might be. But actually, how do you deploy campaigns at scale when campaigns typically are the thing that take a lot of manual input and creative input from your team when working with an ecom brand? And the reason campaigns traditionally dictate that is that once flows are built, other than during sales periods in the ecom calendar, like Black Friday, January, Christmas, and January New Year sales, campaigns will oftentimes change where flows don't. Okay, so flows, once they are built, you can kind of set them and forget them, and update them during those 3 key sales months. But campaigns will take a little bit of kind of creativity, okay? But this again is something we provide in the EEA. It's something that if you don't want to have to learn yourself, we'll do it for you. But on the campaign front, what you basically need to make sure is that you've got an array of campaign templates and styles that each serve a singular purpose that can be used and interchanged throughout the brand's calendar and the wider ecom kind of diary too over a 12-month period, okay? And what that means is that we have, I'll just shoot over to our campaign design brief. This is what we use to give all of our clients, so they actually fill out the campaign information that's needed. And within that design brief, we offer, I think it's like 6 to 8 different styles of campaign here, okay? So they can select what type of campaign that they want, whatever it might be. Now, specifically, what you need to focus on from a campaign perspective is these specific types of campaigns here, okay? So instead of thinking, oh, what are we going to do for the client? Are we going to send 2 emails a week or 5 a month or 12 a month, whatever it might be? Do we do a sale or a discount? Bear in mind, offering continual discounts and sales for ecom brands is a great way to erode their margins and make them stop paying you because they won't make any money. So you need to have a diverse set of campaigns at any one period of time that you can just launch for your clients, overnight. Okay, so these are the campaign styles that you're going to need, right? So the first one is product promos / releases, and these can be broken down into single product or multi-product. Okay, so if you're working with a brand that has one hero product, which we typically don't recommend doing, you want to work with a brand that has a suite of products which you can kind of leverage and lean on in order to build that lifetime value from each new customer that you acquire and retain. You can break these product promo releases down into 2 categories, single product or multi-product. So if the brand has more SKUs than 1 or 5 or 10, whatever it might be, you might need campaigns that promote specific pools of products, okay? So it might be, we've got X promo on, boots if it's a clothing brand, or jumpers or cardigans, whatever it might be. Whereas a single product promo is going to be, here's a discount on our hero product, so to speak. All right. So the second campaign type is a sale campaign. This typically is going to be a, Christmas sale or Black Friday, January, New Year sales, whatever it might be. Typical offers in here are discounts, things like that, free postage, delivery, free extended returns, whatever it might be. The next type of campaign that you need to have in your Klaviyo arsenal is a newsletter and a brand builder. Typically, these can be, we found great success with simple text-based emails that are written from the perspective of the founder. So it's a quick and simple, direct personal note from the founder to the customer in text form with no fancy graphics or anything like that. And these things can help really build the brand, help educate the customers about the brand kind of genesis, product development, whatever it might be. Keep them as a brand enthusiast as opposed to just a one-off, one-time customer. Now, the next type of campaign that you need to have in your Klaviyo bank are for blog posts and long form. So chances are the brand that you're working with will have some sort of CMS on their website. They will be producing some sort of content in a blog post style or long form. Maybe it's product descriptions, adverts, product launches, whatever it might be. You need to have a campaign that accommodates that. And then the last one here finally is a campaign for VIPs and loyalties. Okay, so whether you're running a loyalty program or you want to offer, as a brand owner, you want to offer one-off sales or whatever it might be to individuals and customers that have actually bought a lot from you. They typically have high placed order values or average cart values, and the lifetime value of those customers is significantly more than one-off buyers. Then a campaign like this is going to work really well. Okay, so that's all well and good. All right, so we talked about flows, we talked about campaigns. Now you also need to set up segments. Now, typically what you can do is just set up the core segments if a brand hasn't got them set up, or you can get a bit jazzy. Again, we go through it in the EEA. But really what this build and release offer kind of hinges on is the customization process. Now, once you have got this body of work already in your ESP, so hopefully you're using Klaviyo, you'll be able to replicate this and amend it at a very kind of top level tweaking point of view for each new client that you work with. Now, if you operate within a specific vertical or niche, this customization process becomes a lot quicker and easier. Say you work with cosmetic brands or female cosmetic brands or menswear brands or nootropic supplement brands, whatever it might be. If you think about it, once you've created flows for one of those brands, once you've created a vault of campaigns and designs that apply to the wider e-commerce calendar within that vertical, then you're going to easily be able to replicate that to other brands. Absolutely never copy it. Don't sell the fact that you are giving something bespoke if you are indeed copying too, which we don't recommend. But like I say, if you're working with brands within a similar vertical, it's going to be a lot easier to go through this customization process. But if you're not, we've worked with brands that they sell garden furniture, fencing, window, building materials, supplies, menswear. What else have we worked with? Supplements, fragrances, and we've been able to not only customize, pre-existing collateral that we've got within our account, we've been able to then iterate on that, build it out, optimize it, and then replicate it for new clients going forward. Okay. So with the customization process, I'm going to go through this quickly. You need to focus on three core elements: design, copy, and technical. Okay, I'm going to tackle copy first because this is probably the one I get the most questions about, but is actually one of the easiest to do. Now, with AI, with ChatGPT, you can literally prompt ChatGPT to create copy for every single email that you have in all of your flows and all of your campaigns, all right? And what ChatGPT is going to do in its first instant is when you prompt it, it's going to come out with something, full of emojis, probably quite tacky, probably quite salesy, and you just need to refine your prompts. You need to go through the same chat channel with ChatGPT and refine the copy that it's producing. Okay, and typically what you can do is sign up to the brand that you're working with, sign up to their newsletter, whatever it might be, draw down as much copy from their website as you can, plug that into ChatGPT and instruct ChatGPT to mimic the tone of voice and the writing style there. Okay, so as a general rule, focus less on emojis and give ChatGPT, when you prompt it, give it examples. Okay, so give it a prompt, say that you're creating email copy for email number 1 in the welcome series for this brand. Here's an example of a product description to get tone of voice. Create copy that's snappy, whatever it might be, okay, for that specific email. Then go through all of your flows and do that, okay? And this is a process that once you have that prompt refined, use that, replicate that same prompt every time you need to adapt copy, okay? And this can literally be something that you can pay a VA to do for $3 an hour, whatever it might be, or you can do it yourself if you want to manage costs, or you're just starting your agency and you want to maximize your profit margin. Do it yourself, and I promise you, with each new brand, you'll have thousands of words of flawless copy, impactful copy that's going to be written to e-commerce best practices, and you'll be able to get it done pretty much within less than an hour, okay? On the design front, now, what you want to make sure is that when you order designs, so if you haven't already onboarded a client and you want to get all of these flows kind of somewhat built and already operational and existing in your Klaviyo account, then you can go on websites like Fiverr, you can find designers on Upwork, and you can get them to create templates to a specific design brief. Now, what you have to make sure with that design brief is that each template is 75 to 100% editable. Now, what you will also find is that a lot of designers will come back to you and say, there's no way that I can build a 100% editable template in Klaviyo. And to some degree, they are right, okay? But what you need to do is push them. You need to say, look, this is a template that we're applying to multiple brands or multiple products, whatever it might be. We need to have the ability to make minor amendments, okay? And what that means is that you, as a non-designer, will actually be able to order one email design, pay for that one email design, and then inevitably and indefinitely be able to make amendments to that design going forward, so that it's still incredibly high quality and so that it still applies to every single new client that you work with, whatever vertical niche that they operate within, okay? So you need to make sure these designs ensure a flow. And really what the flow depends upon is leveraging the dynamic blocks within Klaviyo's design template builder, okay? So what you don't want is the designer to create a beautiful bespoke design that's all done on Photoshop, where every time you click text, you can't delete it, you can't edit it, you know, and it's simply a PNG or a JPEG file that you then drop into the Klaviyo builder, okay? That's not what you want. You want a good designer. We found that the best designers come from South America. You don't have to pay any more than $15 to $20 USD per hour for their services. None of this paying $100 or $250 per email design. And like I say, once they've done it, once they've built it, you can either wait for your client to pay you and then order this, or if you've got capital to invest already, you can go ahead and preempt and order those designs in advance, okay? So the last technical sort of implementation here surrounds itself with deliverability, okay? So what you'll probably find with this build and release offer is that the client will be blown away, okay? So within that first 24 hours, if they have abided by your onboarding rules and given you everything you need, you'll go through the customization process, you'll get all your operations done, and within a 24-hour period, they will have every single flow that they'll ever need in order to future-proof their ecom brand. They'll have 12 months worth of campaigns ready to go, and all the client will actually need to do is click live or approve your work, okay? What you will need to do, and what I recommend doing, is just having a technical expert on hand, okay? So this whole process here is one that we've delegated to VAs. So it's something that when I was at the start, I did it myself. It was very easy and didn't take a lot of time to do it for each new client, which is a grave difference to actually having a client on a retainer basis, where you're having to have calls with them to discuss campaigns and launching flows and getting their input constantly. It's a very different process. It's very scalable and it's less time consuming. But what you're going to need, undoubtedly is just a technical expert on hand that you might be able to lean on should anything go right, okay? And sometimes if you're migrating a client account from MailChimp or Drip or Omnisend to Klaviyo, whatever it might be, you might run into problems. It's kind of Murphy's Law. If it can happen, it will happen. And it just helps to have somebody who is an absolute technical expert. Even if you have to pay them $100 an hour or $200 an hour, whatever it might be, I don't actually recommend doing that. I don't think we've ever paid a technical expert $200 an hour. But, for argument's sake, if you need to pay them, considerably more than you want to or you're prepared to do, it's worth just building a relationship and getting a few of these guys on hand early days. And like I say, once the client has paid you, they've front loaded you with cash collected, you're going to be able to afford to lean on technical experts should you need them. Okay, so 9 times out of 10, outsource, don't do it yourself. And then what did I put here? I can't even remember what this point is alluding to. So yeah, that's it, guys. That's it. I could go into much greater depth with this build and release model here. It's something that we're still doing today. So a lot of people, not a lot of people, I had one comment recently that said, if this is so good, then why are you teaching it? And the reason that I am teaching it is because we've been doing it for so long. We've actually gone from being, incredibly stressed, actually hurting, living a painful life as an agency owner of a traditional retainer-based, model, to switching and pivoting to something that's much more productized, to this build and release offer. It's something that's working incredibly well for us. And it's something that I would love to help you guys out with should you need it. So like I say, guys, if you're not already subscribed, mean the world to me if you subscribe to the channel. Drop me a comment below. If you've got any questions, I'd be more than happy to help answer those, and I'll catch you in the next one. All right, cheers.